District captains, global delegates, and friends, Namaskar, and a very warm welcome to the Plastindia Global CEO Conclave. We meet today at a definitive moment in our nation's history. Looking around this room, I do not just see business tycoons and leaders, I see the architects of a modern industrial India. Every component you manufacture, every innovation you pioneer, serves as a vital building block to the $30 trillion economy which we aspire to build. Before we delve into our industry's future, we must acknowledge the force propelling India's integration into the global economy. I would like to place on record our industry's deepest gratitude to our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, his relentless diplomacy and strategic foresight in navigating the complex geopolitical landscapes, especially the recent breakthrough in the India-US trade deal and the India-UK FTAs. This has cleared the path for Made in India to become a preferred label in the world's most premium market. It is my honor and distinct pleasure to welcome our chief guest, a leader who has been the engine behind the transformation, the Honorable Union Minister of State of Commerce and Industry, Shri Jitin Prasada ji. Thank you, sir, for being here with us. Sir, your presence here today is a tremendous moral booster for the entire plastics industry. Your relentless drive to operationalize the Make in India vision and your hands-on approach to dismantling trade barriers and revitalizing the manufacturing ambitions. You have not just set targets, you have walked the path with us to achieve them. We are deeply honored to have you guide us today. I am also deeply honored to acknowledge the presence of Nikhil Bhai Meswani, who is just coming a few minutes late, Executive Director of Reliance Industries. Sir, you represent an organization that has single-handedly redefined the concept of scale in India. Your insights on industrial competitiveness have consistently guided the polymer industry and the polymer sector from the phase of capacity creation to global leadership. Thank you for being the compass for our industry. Friends, the data clearly indicates that our economy is undergoing a structural transformation. With industrial growth clocking a robust 7% in the first half of this fiscal year, the message is clear. We are moving from an era of strategic resilience to strategic indispensability. It is no longer enough for India to be self-sufficient. The world must rely on us for reliability, scale, and value. Our sector, the chemical and petrochemical sector, is a heavyweight, contributing to over 8% of India's manufacturing GVA. With production volumes crossing 28 million tons, we have secured our raw material independence. The opportunity for Bharat Next lies in downstream value addition. As we witness a 30-fold increase in sectors like mobile manufacturing and a boom in automotive production, apart from the packaging division, we must ensure that the high-precision plastic components driving these devices are engineered right here by us. We must stop exporting raw potential and start exporting finished innovation. As the geopolitical landscape shifts, global plants are looking for reliable partners to anchor their supply chains. We must pivot this from being exporters of commodities to becoming indispensable partners in the global value chain. Whether it is a precision engineering or medical devices, our goal must be to make India the factory of the world. This vision relies heavily on our MSME ecosystem. It is heartening to note that the credit growth of the MSMEs is currently outpacing that of the large industries, a sign of vibrancy in our smaller enterprises. However, scale requires technology, and as industry captains, I urge you to mentor these smaller units, help them to adopt automation, AI, and digitization. When our MSMEs integrate seamlessly into global supply chains, India wins. Finally, Bharat Next must be a responsible Bharat. The global marketplace is rewarding circularity. By pioneering recycling technologies and embracing the circular economy, we are not just saving the environment, we are future-proofing our businesses against global regulatory shifts. Let us lead the world in sustainable solutions. In conclusion, friends, the transition from Make in India to Make for the World rests on our shoulders. With the diplomatic highway paved by our Honorable PM Modi ji, the strategic direction provided by our Honorable Minister of State, Shri Jiten Prasad ji, the scale exemplified by Reliance, we have all the ingredients for success. Let us commit today to making the Indian plastic industry not just a participant in global economy, but an indispensable leader of it. Welcome to Bharat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And that was an entry song for me. Thank you, Mr. Kamath, for setting the context so beautifully. And this allows me to speak less and introduce you all to this lovely morning where we are going to be talking about the plastics industry, which stands at a critical inflection point, driving innovation, sustainability, strengthening global competitiveness, and export-led growth. Welcome to Plast India 2026 Global CEO Conclave, everyone. We are now moving on to the ceremonial inauguration of today's event by a symbolic lamp lighting. I would like to request all the dignitaries to please walk to the lamp and do the honors.
सिंदूर लाल चढ़ायो अच्छा गजमुख को जोन दिल लाल विराजे सुत गौरी हर को हाथ लिए गुड़ लड्डू साई सुरवर को महिमा कहे न जाए लागत हूँ पद को जय देव जय देव जय जय जी गणराज विद्या सुखदाता धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता जय देव जय देव भगति से कोई शरणागत आवे संतति संपत्ति सब ही भरपूर पावे ऐसे तुम महाराज मोको अति भावे गोसावी नंदन नित्य दिन गुण गावे जय देव जय देव जय जय जी गणराज विद्या सुखदाता धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता जय देव जय देव.
Thank you, sirs. We now move on to the keynote address, a perspective that will outline India's roadmap to growth, trade resilience, and the role of manufacturing-led development under Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. And we are honored to have Shri Jiten Prasad Sahab, Honorable Minister for Commerce, Industry, Government and India. May I request Honorable Minister to please come and address the gathering.
Thank you. Very good morning to all of you here. I'm very glad that I have got this opportunity to be amongst all of you at this Plast India Global CEO Conclave. And with me on the dais, Mr. Ravish Kamath, President Plast India Foundation, Mr. Achal Thakkar, CEO of the Conclave, Mr. Alok Tibrewal, Chairman, Plast India 2026. And of course, we're going to be Mr. Nikhil Meswani will be on his way. And of course, all the CEOs, the leading lights, the various stakeholders of the plastic and polymer industry assembled in this hall, and even my special welcome to the overseas guests who have arrived. And I'm very happy that this conclave is taking place at this very opportune time where India is moving ahead with great speed, with great skill, with great stability, and we've had a series of great decisions which you are very aware of, from the India-EU FTA, the India-US FTA, and the budget, which had great announcements to ensure that a self-reliant India, and has just been spoken by Mr. Ravish, that it's the Prime Minister's thought process that India be make in India and make for the world. And that's where the whole India growth story comes from. A new vision, a new India, which we've seen, and especially in this plastic, polymer, and petrochemicals. In this sector, India is a huge market, a manufacturing hub, a great consumption that's happening domestically as well, and exporting across to the world. I'm told my friends from UK, Italy, Germany have come, and USA, a 6-member delegation has come. And you know, it fits so well, given that the FTAs, the free trade agreements with India and EU, which is truly historic. In one single FTA, India has been able to unlock 27 countries' market access, which is truly amazing, and it is the sole credit to the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has both these FTAs under his leadership. You know, in these challenging times, in this geopolitical uncertainty, and this chaos that's happening across in the world, navigating these FTAs at this particular point of time is a very big feat for India, especially looking at from the point of view of a developing economy, to have an agreement with a huge market, especially for plastics, as far as the European Union goes. A 750 billion market, you know, in terms of which I've been told that that's the size of the market of the European Union. And as far as plastics goes, the 2024, the imports of Europe alone were 242 billion from the world. And India's share was only 1.21 billion, which is very minuscule. But I'm sure after this deal, which is giving you market access to at least 90% of your tariff lines, which you know, existing plastic exports, and slowly within the next 5 years, the rest of it also becomes zero duty access, which will give you the necessary boost. It's a booster to ensure. So the government has done what it had to. Now it's up to the CEOs, the industry, the stakeholders to unlock and through the potential of this deal, which is truly historic. And you know, as far as the deal with the United States also, which again the Prime Minister has ensured with his sheer resilience in these challenging times, with his diplomacy, with his vision, and with his deft handling of the situation, that today we can say that the US tariffs, which have just been announced, the details will flow out later, but from 50% tariffs to 18 is a very big deal for the Indian community and the Indian business, which I'm sure will go a long way in speeding up trade, export, and you know, ensuring that not only the big industry benefits, but our MSMEs, which are a big feeder system to the big companies, employing over 16 lakh people in the plastic industry. You know, and I can tell you that we've had 3 victories under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. It is again the biggest, you know, I can tell you, a democratic setup like India, so diverse, where there's instability across in the world. India has that island of stability. And 3 back-to-back victories at the federal level is you know, it's a very big feat in a country like India. And after 3 back-to-back victories, we've had state elections, be it Delhi, where you're sitting, Mumbai, Maharashtra, Bihar, Haryana. So these are all victories. Just goes to show, not that I'm tapping myself on my back, but it gives the comfort and the confidence to the government with a strong leader like Prime Minister Modi to take decisions which are long-term. That's where the confidence comes from. It doesn't come from any other situation. It comes from the mandate of the people. And when the people of this country are with you and they're showing you the solid support in results, mandates, that's where the government's ability comes to take strong decisions, bold decisions, to venture where it is not before, and especially long-lasting decisions. We are not here to take decisions what's happening in the next 2 years or 3 years. The government is taking a very holistic view and figuring out what will happen and how India will be positioned in the next 15, 20, 30 years. And those decisions have to be taken now. Even our budget announcements, from rare earth magnets to the PLI schemes to our electronic components manufacturing scheme, which has got a boost, all these goes to show, our export mission goes to show that we are here for the long run. India is marching ahead with great speed and skill and resilience, with a strong leader, with a strong government, with a vision to ensure that our future and the future generations will benefit, and the 2047 goal of a developed nation will be achieved. But it's not only about our government taking decisions. It's about you people who are specifically from India, the CEOs, the stakeholders, the industry leaders, the world CEOs who've come from Europe to the United States. They look at India as the biggest market available. And this is the true strength of India. When we navigate our FTAs and when we talk to the developed world on an equal footing, it's because of the 1.4 billion people. Not earlier, these 1.4 billion people were numbers. But over these years, with the policies and the programs of the government, this 1.4 billion people is the biggest strength of India because it's become an aspirational India. And not only, especially to our foreign CEOs here, the strength of India is not only about metros of Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai. The real strength of India lies in its villages, where India resides. And in these villages, that's where what has come alive, where India has become a very aspirational India. They are looking at quality products. They are willing to spend. They are the biggest market. So all your produce, especially plastic and related products, the market is in the villages, which, is truly a scale which no one has seen. And that's where the whole world's eyes are focused on India today, because of that 1.4 billion market that India has to offer, and people are willing to spend, and they're not ready to take any second category products. They're not ready to take any dumped products anymore. This is a new India under Prime Minister Modi. They only want the best, and the world-class products will be made available by the government through people like you who produce quality products within India and for the world. Because at one point in time, we used to see, this is export quality. That was a word. Export quality meant better product, and within India, it meant, substandard products. Those days have gone. India is willing to produce. It's got the talent. It's got the skill. It's got the capability. It has the resources. And we will not settle for anything less as far as quality is concerned. So these are big issues and big change that's happened in India. I don't know how many overseas people have come recently in India, but I can tell you over the past 10 years, you see a new India. Our airports, our highways, our infrastructure, the quality of where you're sitting today, this Bharat Mandapam, is truly a world-class showcase center to the world, where this shows a new India. The earlier people, you must have come here and what kind of facilities there were earlier, which were not in sync in times of today's of the modern world. But today, we have the best capability to do anything and achieve anything that's within reach. So the other thing that I would specifically want to talk about is because the whole plastic ecosystem is here. You can't deny the fact that plastics is a part of our lives. But on the other hand, I'm sure all of you are very aware and so responsible as well as far as sustainability is concerned. So there's biopolymer and recycling and safe manufacturing. I'm sure those issues are being taken into consideration, and those should be taken into consideration. Like I said, it's not about us, but it's about the future and what we leave for our future generations. So those issues should be flagged off. I'm sure you are aware. And I hope that I will get time to visit the exhibition sometime later. But today, why I'm in a hurry is because I have Parliament to attend, and I have a statement to make at 11 o'clock dot, and Parliament doesn't wait for anybody. So I'll probably lose my job because of the Plastindia. So I don't want to do that, so I have to move. But otherwise, I wanted to, it would be great to interact and get views, because this government under Prime Minister Modi is an agile government. It listens to its stakeholders. It fine-tunes its policies according to the needs, the requirements, the evolving markets, the evolving political situations. So I'd love to hear what views you have over this conclave that this Indian government needs to fine-tune, where the roadblocks are. The Prime Minister focuses on two things. One is ease of doing business, and the other is ease of living. So we want to do away with the unnecessary compliances. We don't want you to go from table to table, get clearances, signatures, the works. Those days are over. This is a new India. We want there's a rule of law. There is everything by policy and program, and we stick by that. And everyone has a level playing field. There are no shortcuts anymore. Rules are followed, rules are made. But we want to do away with the unnecessary compliances which hinder your business and which hinder the whole industry. So I assure you the full support of the government. We have to work together. Like I said, the government can only work in silos unless the industry engages well. You put forward your demands, your issues, so those can be taken up at whatever level they are required. So I'm sure that you will have a very successful conclave here. I wish you all the very best, especially the overseas participants. I hope you're taking care of them and ensuring that they get to visit some other parts of India as well. Feel free to not only bog you down in Bharat Mandapam, but to take you to what India has to showcase as far as tourism goes in Rajasthan, which is just next door in the sense neighboring state, or any other part of the country you'd want to go. I'm sure these organizers here sitting on stage are not only sitting on stage because they hold an office, but they are responsibility to ensure that you see the real India, and I hope you have a great time here. Thank you.
सर गुड मॉर्निंग रवीश जी मंत्री महोदय 1 मिनट आपका लूँगा द हाउस शुड नो एंड आपको बताना है द एग्जीबिशन 2026 Plastindia is beyond an exhibition. It is the Bharat Next story. The whole exhibition is set around the 5T vision of the Honorable Prime Minister. The exhibition is showcasing responsible, sustainable growth. We have set up a museum of 12,000 square feet where all the products are made out of reprocessed plastics, which are now being commercially sold. हमने एक स्वच्छ भारत यात्रा चालू की थी जो 2500 किलोमीटर तय करके they have collected 16,000 kgs of waste. The truck is here and this is the first zero waste exhibition in the world. सर तो आपको पधारना है और मैं आपका फिर स्वागत करूंगा.
Ladies and gentlemen, a short tea break and we will resume with all the energies. So another 10 minutes and we can all come back. What an honor to have all of you today here for the Plastindia 2026 Global CEO Conclave. Our dignitary is here. As we now move on from policy to industry leadership, it is my pleasure to invite a strategic industry perspective on competitiveness, investments, and India's global positioning. May I now invite Shri Nikhilar Miswani Sahab, Executive Director, Reliance Industries, to please deliver the strategic address. Mr. Miswani.
Good morning, and my once again I apologize for being late, and then talking to the minister. At least that was the good part of it. It's never happened, but I mean this kind of aircraft circling I have never experienced in my life. I'm deeply apologize for the same. So Tapadia ji is sitting here. Ravish Kamath ji, other dignitaries on the dais, several friends and colleagues in the industry who have deeply supported Reliance or who have taught me plastics, colleagues from the industry, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed my honor and privilege to address this august gathering. As we speak and meet here today, Indian economy has firmly established itself as a beacon of hope and optimism with firm path of growth. Even in an environment where there has been considerable headwinds. As per the latest IMF projections, the Indian economy is currently the fastest large growing economy in the world, poised to grow between 6.5% and 7%. Last year, the Indian GDP touched nearly $4.5 trillion, and it is firmly on its path to be the third largest economy in the world before 2030. This has only been possible with the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and his decisive leadership, his continuity, and his unwavering path to progress has made sure India is firmly on an economic growth and manufacturing growth path. India is fortunate and blessed to have a leader of his stature and command. This government has left no stone unturned in realizing India's economic aspirations, encompassing all sectors, MSMEs, and as our Honorable Chairman, Shri Mukesh Ambani said a few days ago, even if we all work together, a double-digit growth is possible. It is only harnessing the energy of our youth to make sure that that happens. Beginning of this week, we saw the government present the union budget. The budget consolidates the efforts of the government to chart a new roadmap for growth in Indian manufacturing for several years. As you know, we need to not grow once, twice, but we need to increase over the next 10 years our manufacturing growth 7 to 8 times if we need to meet and beat this aspiration. This is going to be, and as the budget highlighted, going to be focused on rare earth, renewable energy, semiconductors, and of course digital economy, data centers and the like. But we all should not forget, at the back of all of this is infrastructure. At the back of all of this is circularity. And at the back of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, is plastics. I take this opportunity to compliment our Honorable Prime Minister and our Honorable Commerce Minister for securing 3 landmark FTAs in the last 6 to 7 months. UK, EU, and now the US. As industry, we would not have dreamt of a better tomorrow, where so many restrictions have been lifted. For India, it appears there is no finish line as we continue to move on a path of accelerated FTAs and remove trade barriers to open newer markets. For our plastic industry, the new FTAs will provide Indian manufacturers preferential access to foreign markets. And when we effectively leverage these agreements, this can translate into compounded growth only based on exports for our value-added products. Value addition ensures our journey as a manufacturing hub for employment creation and thereby contributing meaningfully to nation building in a fully inclusive way. The journey of plastics as a synthetic material can be tracked back to bakelite in 1907, where it was known as a material of 1,000 uses. With subsequent introduction of plastics and polymers, on account of its versatility and cost effectiveness, this has become an indispensable path for our day-to-day living. From toothbrush to TV screen, from mobiles to laptops, from disposable syringes to our masks, plastics have meaningfully contributed to every aspect of human life, and they are essential. They cannot be discarded, they have to be adopted. In India, the plastics journey began in late 50s. Polymer consumption in the country was then just 40,000 tons. It crossed 25 million tons in 2025 from 1960 to today, so it is 40,000 tons to 25 million tons. That has been the landmark journey of our product. Since independence, our consumption has taken 40 years to take the first million tons. Today, it takes 2 years to consume 1 million tons extra, and I am pretty sure going forward, it will be 1 million tons plus each year. And that is the future, that is the opportunity standing in front of us. India's per capita polymer consumption currently stands at 17 kilograms per capita, which is less than the global average of 40 kilograms. And if we take the next 10 to 15 years, India will reach only 30 kgs. This 30 kgs alone is an opportunity of $100 billion in raw materials and another $100 billion in downstream processing. It is more than what we have done ever since independent India. Over the last years, plastics have emerged as the material of choice in aspect of every human life. Increased use have become synonymous with our economic growth and development. As we move forward, a new India is emerging. It is on the back of young people, their aspiration, their consumption power, and renewed competitiveness for our exports by lifting the trade barriers. So, India is going to make sure that we will progress at a rate in this industry we have never imagined. Plastic industry will be therefore at the forefront of this transformation, being the enabler industry. This metamorphosis is possible across agriculture, water conservation, water supply, healthcare, infrastructure, automobiles, FMCG, manufacturing to retail, and I can go on, where India will play a pivotal role in becoming the third largest economy globally. Therefore, the opportunity before us today is unparalleled. We would have never imagined this would happen in the history of India. We are therefore here at the right place, at the right time, because this is the era of India. Our projections indicate a double-digit plastic growth continuing for the next 10 to 15 years only on the back of India's consumption. And this story will not end there. Let me tell you, as we go to newer end uses, the consumption of plastics will actually multiply. As the world creates a new value through automation, robotics, developments in medical sciences, renewables, consumption of plastics is going to actually enter a new orbit. The new opportunity will lead to a further surge in domestic demand from opportunities you would have never imagined. Medical devices, prosthetic limbs, robots, battery case, separators, and I can go on. And I'll give you a simple example. Each one of us today use between 3 and 5 screens, from a mobile phone, an iPad, a laptop, a desktop, and at least 2 screens at home. When world thought that our consumption will fall, actually our consumption is increased. And this is what is going to happen for all the old world industries, starting from power to all manufacturing industries. Identifying plastic products that are currently being imported into the country, building capability for domestic manufacturing would further add to this opportunity. Understanding whether these imports are driven by technology gaps, scale, cost limitations, or pure disadvantages of infrastructure. Once these are resolved, we will be able to capture this growth. And India today imports over as much plastics as we make here today. So you can imagine what that growth size is. As per UNCTAD, global plastic trade exceeds $1 trillion. India's share of that trade is only 1%. Our population share is 1/6 of the world. If we have to catch that up, can you imagine the opportunity that is before us? We would have never thought about it in this way because we were only focused on domestic consumption. This, therefore, calls for a focused investment in scale, technology, global partnerships, education, and skilling, which is most important and at the backbone of this. Both Deepak ji and Taparia ji are doing pioneering work here in this area. As our growth in plastics materializes, it will become an engine of employment creation. I have heard our Honorable Commerce Minister, Piyush Bhai, says on several occasions that this industry has the potential to create 1 crore jobs. When I say that, people think it's a very large number. It's not possible. But, I mean, for some of our friends from overseas who are sitting here, that is 10 million jobs, just in simple numbers. India today employs roughly half that many number of people in this industry directly. And if we just look at this opportunity, we can have 10 million jobs created in plastics directly, leave alone the indirectly, which will support another 3 times that many number of jobs. That's the potential of job creation, which is the heart of India's problem and balance it. 100 million jobs. Today, India has a robust plastic industry with over 70,000 processors in the organized sector, with exceeding 4 lakh crores and employing, as I said, 50 lakh people, accounting for 90,000 crores of exports. A key requisite for our long-term growth is, of course, raw material security and supply. And all of us, you would be asking, what is that? Today, the petrochemical industry is busy investing over 600,000 crores in this industry today. 6 lakh crores are being invested as I speak to you, with plans in progress for another 6 lakh crores as India embarks on the global scale in its journey from oil to chemicals. India is very fortunate in this regard because India has grown from chemicals to oil and not from oil to chemicals. So for us to replicate that is a much easier task. The plastic industry is undergoing paradigm shift, which is necessarily adapting to new trends. Changes in technology and flexible mindset are therefore necessary. Let me give you a few examples. The use of artificial intelligence and new technology is going to change and challenge the way we work. The pace of discovery, which is allowing the researchers to do hundreds and thousands of pages of research in a few minutes on the search engines, is creating new opportunities across the sector. It is redefining the way we do research and development. It is emerging as an enabler which would have never thought. Transformating role played by AI in material and product design, process optimization, smart manufacturing, quality control, advanced sorting and recycling, and recently, as I saw in China, dark factories. Nobody in the factory, but it's fully running on robots and AI. Prediction of customer behavior, prediction of seasonality, changes in inventory is going to redefine the way we work in our own industry. Similarly, the trend of greening and bio-based materials is also going to challenge the way we work. Just to give you an example, who would have thought that the simple problem of Delhi's pollution by stubble burning can be a good biomass feed that can give us bioenergy and thereby become a valuable feedstock and in turn provide an environment for a better tomorrow. Sustainability has become the defining factor of global competitiveness, with recycling, waste management, circular economy being part of our regular framework of growth. New business opportunities are emerging. And I believe these opportunities today can be scaled to $10 billion even with the present technologies. Indian industry has the ability to lead in this area for designing for reuse, low carbon manufacturing, and sustainable solutions because we are growing from scratch. We do not have legacy of the past, and that in itself is a blessing and not a curse. But this has to be done in a frugal engineering mindset to keep in mind the affordability factor. And as we have heard many times, it is creating more from less, which we have always heard in every book that we have read of Professor Prahlad. India is poised for the next phase of exponential growth. With economic growth, per capita income is set to increase from $2,700 last year to $4,000 by the end of this decade. This is going to propel a consumption boom. Indian consumer is going to spend $4.5 trillion by 2030 from nearly $2.4 trillion today. Over these years, the infrastructure investment is going to be over $2 trillion. The real estate sector is going to triple because we will include data centers as a part of this sector. Internet penetration is going to grow from 65% to 88% because of better 5G availability across India. The world, therefore, is taking note of India's growth. The world is, and in the words of our chairman, the tree of Indian economy is now beginning to bear fruit with great visibility, with sustainability and abundance. And over the next 20 years or so, India will also be more or less self-reliant in its energy, which has been the single biggest hurdle in continuing our growth in plastics and cheap availability of raw materials. Demand for newer solutions will translate into growth which we would have not imagined. Both skilled and semi-skilled workers will be required for this. In these 15 years, our opportunity for investment will be over 200 billion, and our employment potential, as I said, will be crossing new employment of 1 crore mark. India is therefore not just preparing for the future, it is defining the future. The plastic industry, therefore, has an unprecedented growth ahead of it. A tomorrow which will be significantly better than today, and that will transform our dream, our Prime Minister's dream of Vikasit Bharat. As our visionary founder used to say, our dreams have to be bigger, our ambitions higher, our commitments deeper, and our efforts greater. In it lies the prosperity of India. Friends, so let us make this dream of a developed India, being amongst the top 3 economies of the world, and make it a reality under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mesbani. Well, what we've just heard are 2 forward-looking perspectives, one from policy and one from the industry, and both highlighting the role of innovation, long-term thinking, and ecosystem-led approaches in shaping sustainable growth. And taken together, these 2 addresses reflect a convergence of policy intent, industry strategy, looking ahead not just as a compliance, but at opportunity and scale. Well, ladies and gentlemen, over the next few hours, this platform will host meaningful dialogues on how India can emerge as a global plastics manufacturing and innovation hub while advancing the principles of circularity and responsible growth. And today's conclave brings together some of the elite names here from across the plastics value chain and end-user industry leaders who are not just shaping businesses, but helping define India's manufacturing future. With that, we move to our theme 1 of the day, where we are moving our focus to a very special session that highlights one industry case study on plastic recycling and circular economy adoption, highlighting scalable and replicable best practices. I would like to call upon our first speaker, Justin Wood from Alliance to End Plastics Waste, to come for his presentation. Over to you, Justin. Yes, it is.
If you could send it to the back, to the start, please, that would be great. Perfect. So good morning, and first of all, let me extend my thanks to Mr. Kamath and the organizing committee for Plastindia for this very kind opportunity to present at this conclave today. I've been invited to spend a few minutes just presenting a case study of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste and the work that we're doing to build a sustainable future for plastics here in India. Some of you may not yet be familiar with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, so let me start with a very brief introduction. We are a non-profit organization. We were set up in 2019 by companies, by the industry itself, from across the plastic value chain. Today, we've got 60 member companies, including 3 from here in India, Reliance, HMEL, and Uflex, and a great thanks to our Indian members for your continuing support for our work. Our mission is to end plastic waste in the environment and to build a circular economy for this hugely valuable material. And we deliver on our mission in a very active way. We see our role as raising capital and then using that money to develop projects around the world that can show how to solve this problem, how to build a circular economy, and how to make recycling work. We structure our work into what we call programs, very large-scale programs, and they come in 2 varieties. We have what we call a country program, where the focus is on a specific chosen nation, And we work with stakeholders in that nation to really transform the way that plastic waste is managed so that we can stamp out pollution and build circular economy. The second type of program is what we call a thematic program, where we focus our efforts on a persistent challenge that's holding back the emergence of circularity. And every one of our programs aims to have a minimum of $200 million in funding. Now that $200 million, and it can be more, is a combination of money from the alliance itself, from us, but also from funding partners, particularly development banks that are interested in standing alongside us to build what we need to manage this plastic pollution issue. Let me give you a quick example. In Indonesia, for example, we have a country program. The total funding there is $300 million. And of that total, 50 million came from the alliance, and the other 250 million came from co-funders, and in particular, in that case, from two big development banks, the Asian Development Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. These banks very interested in partnering with us, combining our technical expertise with their funding to really transform the story around plastic waste. So this is the picture of our current portfolio of programs around the world. You can see we have 5 country programs: Brazil, South Africa, Indonesia, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and very importantly, India. So we've chosen very carefully the countries where we want to deploy our resources and make a difference. You can see we have one thematic program, which is focused more on the global north, and that's looking at how do you build a circular economy for flexible plastic packaging. We chose flexibles, of course, because it's such a difficult material to build a circular economy for, hard to collect, hard to recycle. So let me zoom in on our India program. What does that look like? Well, we focused our efforts here on 3 main priorities. The first one is the critical need to build waste management infrastructure, particularly in Tier 2 and Tier 3 metros, outside, of course, places like Delhi and Mumbai. And the biggest part of that infrastructure focus is on sorting. At the moment, all of the waste is going to dump sites, it's going to landfill. How do we stop it and divert it so that it can be recycled instead? The second priority is on flexible plastic packaging. And as I mentioned, this is a very difficult material to build a circular economy for. If you look here in India and you look at a plastic like PET, the recycling rates are already well above 80%. But if you look at flexible packaging, it's only 5%. And yet it's a huge proportion of the plastic waste. So there's a huge job to do to make flexibles more circular. The third area is working with the informal sector. We know that waste pickers are a critical part of India's waste management landscape. There's at least 1.5 million informal waste pickers, maybe more. But they're very unproductive. So how can we work with them, given their critical role to waste management, to improve their productivity and thereby improve waste management in India? So those are the 3 priorities. How do we organize our work? Well, our program has essentially 2 components. The first one is a large-scale anchor project. And for this, we're looking at funding of $150 million. Again, some of it from the Alliance and some of it from our funding partners. And this project is going to really do the heavy lifting of delivering impact for the Alliance in India, driving up rates and volumes of plastic that's collected and recycled. And the focus of this big anchor project is working with cities to build that missing element of infrastructure. The second part of our India program is to try to build a portfolio of what we call solution models. These are projects that are a much smaller scale, but they're designed to test a new idea, a new technology, a new business model at a small scale to see if it works. And when it does work, we want to take those solution models and bring them into the large-scale anchor project. You should see also that we are structuring all of this under a Section 8 company. We set up a legal entity here in India, which is critical because for us, this enables us to bring money into the country in a much more efficient way, but it also enables us to work with local funding partners to be able to source funds from within the country. And I'm sure many of you will know that a Section 8 company allows Indian companies that must make CSR contributions every year, they can pay that to a Section 8 company. So it means local stakeholders can really get involved in the work and support it. So let me end with just one small example of the type of work we're doing here. And this is a project in Mathura city in Uttar Pradesh state. And up until recently in Mathura, almost all of their municipal waste was going direct to landfill and direct to dump sites. We want to change that story. So we've partnered with the ULB, the urban local body in Mathura, to build a waste sorting center. It's now built. It has the capacity to process 300 tons a day of mixed municipal waste. So that's about 110,000 tons a year. And it's a very nice partnership that we've established there. So the ULB, the municipality, has provided us with the land for free, which is, of course, a critical component. The Alliance has provided all the capital to build this sorting center. That's about $2.5 million. And we have a great project partner called Recity, which now owns and is operating this waste sorting center. The goal, of course, is to achieve zero waste to landfill for Mathura city. And so now we have a situation where all of the municipal waste, instead of going to the landfill and dump site, is going to this sorting center where it's being separated into different streams. So the organic waste, like food, is going to be composted. The recyclable materials, like plastic and metal and cardboard, that's going to recycling. And anything that's left over, any residual waste that can't be recycled, that's being converted into RDF, or refuse-derived fuels, which can be used in things like cement kilns as a fuel source. And every one of these waste streams creates a revenue for that sorting center that is making it economically self-sustaining. We want to be able to help build infrastructure, but we want it to be able to stand alone and function financially as its own entity. So that's just an example of a smaller entity, a smaller solution model project that we believe has huge potential to be scaled and replicated across the country as we build out our country program. So let me end there. Thank you very much for your time and look forward to working with all of you as we build this program in India.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you so much for that very intriguing and interesting presentation, and we do hope to see more collaborations and partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, I am now drawing your attention to a very special video. It's a video on Plastindia International University, and it has been created by the plastics industry by Plastindia Foundation. So we will have a look at that. Well, put your hands together actually for this very, very special venture, which is one of a kind in the country. And I now take the opportunity to invite Mr. Kamal Nanavati, Senior President, Reliance Industries and Board Member at PIU, to deliver a very special address and tell us more about the vision for the center. So.
Well, very good morning. And I was just noticing that after a long, long time, we are really running ahead of schedule. So it's very nice for you. That's I think, going very well. Well, I'm going to share with you the journey of Plastindia International University with you. Can I have the first slide, please? Plastindia International University is a philanthropic initiative by our industry to develop world-class talent also for our industry. The path to excellence and the journey of PI. The next slide, please. Do I have a slide control here? Just a minute, please. You're going? Oh, that's good. Got it. Thank you. Which one? This one. Got it. Okay, no problem. I can do that. No problem. Well, it'll be interesting to know how did the journey begin. So it's back in 2009-10 time frame. The first MOU was signed between the Plastindia Foundation and the government of Gujarat to set up a knowledge center. Between 2012 and 2015, the conceptualization of the vision, mission, and the plan was underway. It was then decided that let's partner with the best educational institution providing knowledge and research experience, and that's why we approached the University of Massachusetts Lowell campus, which is the premier institute for plastics engineering and science. The technical partnership with UMass Lowell and the Enactment Act of Government of Gujarat was done in the time frame of 2015-2017. In 2017-2018, we started the construction of the PIU campus. We already finished 3 buildings, and what would happen that our central building was coming in the path of the bullet train. So we had to surrender that building. The building was broken down, and today, Tripura is the only university campus anywhere in the world where the bullet train passes right through the heart of the campus, and in 5 minutes, it will reach Vapi station. So if you get on from Mumbai, within 25-30 minutes, you will be at our campus. That's the beauty of the bullet train, the gift to us that really happened. In 2022-23 time frame, we started the launch, and the webinar series has started. And in current year that just went by, AICAT approval and the launch of BTech program in plastics and polymer engineering has commenced. Can I just, I don't know, there's it. No, it's something, I think the slides have just gone back and forth, yeah. Which slide? Slide 4. Yeah. There you go. So UMass Lowell, John Fudo is here, and Professor Samdi Nagarajan is also here. The partnership really was signed in April of 2025 at the Lowell campus. Mr. Tabaraji was the one who signed the agreement with Julie Chen, and you can see that in the image that they both are there. UL is the global leading institute for plastic technology. It's designing of curricula, design and development of the infrastructure of the lab, student and faculty exchange, faculty development, and conduct a webinar series is already underway at Plastindia International University. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The current status of the PIU campus, today we have a student strength of 122 students. With combined focus and collective effort, we aim to achieve 240 plus students by August of this year. And aim is to really have 4,000 plus students trained over a decade and we'll continue the journey beyond that. So what does the campus infrastructure look like? Next slide, please. From dream to reality, the campus is now up and running. Next slide, please. The classrooms are there, very well designed, very well accommodating, for a very ongoing exchange between student and the faculty. Next slide, please. The chemistry lab, group of students already performing the experiments. This is already underway. Next slide, please. The chemistry lab is really established very well. Then we move to the workshop. Next slide, please. You can see that the students are having hands-on experience in running various equipments in the workshop. Next slide, please. And this is really giving them a first-hand experience of really work with various kind of plastic machines which are there in the lab itself there. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Go ahead, please. So you have a 3D printing lab, language lab, computer lab, and the workshop. All of these are up and running at the PIU campus. In the next slide, you will see the library, students exploring knowledge in a quiet and resource-rich library environment. The library is very well equipped, providing students with space for industry, research, and intellectual growth. And I invite the industrialists sitting out here, if they have books, periodicals that they like to donate to Plastindia International University, will be very happy to receive and put them under appropriate banner as your contribution to our library. Next slide, please. Cafeteria, you all know students love to have, and the cafeteria in Government is up and running, and it's very well established over there. And as it goes with it, in the next slide you will see there's also sports and recreation facilities already underway there. Nothing really can be said more than it was asked that how do you really live lifestyle balance. In the next slide you'll see the students practicing yoga and to enhance mindfulness, focus, and overall well-being as part of the balanced campus lifestyle. The next slide you will see the year-wise launch program of School of Engineering 2024-25, BTech Plastics and Polymer Engineering is on the way. In current year we are going ahead with BTech in Computer Science and Engineering. Next year we'll take up the MTech in Plastics and Polymer Engineering, and going onward we'll see Diploma in Plastics Engineering, BTech in Chemical Engineering, MSc in Polymer Science, BTech in Mechanical Engineering, and by end of the decade, MTech both in Chemical Engineering and Mechanical Engineering in partnership with UMass would be going back. Next slide, please. So we have the other schools being launched are School of Management, the Center of Excellence and Sustainability, and School of Continuing Education. We invite the industries out here to set up their affiliated research center in the vicinity of PIU, where you can really have the advantage of students who will come and work for you. The final slide that I'll present, next please. You have over, the impact of our university would be over 4,000 plus students and professionals will be trained over a decade, and this journey will continue beyond that. We'll have a world-class smart campus and advanced labs available. 100 plus expert faculty and 100 plus support staff will deliver academic excellence, global exposure, and high-quality operations. Partnership with 100 plus industries and organizations already underway, and employment and entrepreneurship growth is also there. The beauty of this university is that the student graduating is 100% going to be assured of a job as soon as the student graduates, and that's the beauty of this campus. An innovation-led, sustainable future. So this has been really the journey of PIU so far, and we look forward to your continued support, encouragement. We invite you to visit the campus whenever your time takes you to do that. We now have, I believe, a video clip from Julie Shen. Am I right? So could we have that video clip? Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that video, and thank you, Mr. Nanavati, for setting the context and sharing the inspiring perspective for this university. We now shift our focus to a significant milestone, which is the launch of the Center for Sustainability, Recycling and Circular Economy. And to mark this moment, we have a very special video message from the Chancellor of UMass Lowell, Ms. Julie Chen. Can we please have the message?
Greetings from all of your friends here at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. To our valued partners from the Plastindia Foundation, Plastindia International University, and our many alumni who have been instrumental in both the creation of PIU and in the plastics industry throughout India and globally. You are so important to us. I'm very excited about this partnership and what the future holds. The rapid growth of PIU is just one example of why an institution like this is so important to industry throughout India and globally. As you think about expanding and integrating computer engineering, computer science, business, and other disciplines needed in the plastics industry, UMass Lowell is ready and eager to help share our expertise and to work together with your faculty and students. I also know how important it is for us to all work together to build a sustainable environment. UMass Lowell is proud to be one of only 16 universities in the world to have achieved platinum status, the highest level in the global sustainability tracking assessment and rating systems, or STARS ratings. One key part of this rating is how well we bring together education, industry, and government to address sustainability. We help others understand that much of the R&D on new materials and processes can help reduce impact on the environment, and that plastics are an extremely important class of materials for humankind. When you think about medical devices, clean water systems, lightweight transportation, and so many other high-performance products throughout society today, the world is a better place because of plastics. Innovation in the plastics industry is critical, but innovation alone isn't enough. Education and communication is what allows us to tell the full story about design, performance, safety, durability, use, and reuse. That's why I'm excited about the launch of the joint PIU UMass Lowell initiative on sustainability, recycling, and circular economy. So many of you are working hard to bring together education and industry. I encourage you to continue the conversation, continue your support for critical partners like PIU and UMass Lowell, and continue to strive to make the world a better place. Thank you.
With that, we also come to another important event of the day, which is the launch of Plastindia Center of Sustainability and Recycling, which is planned at the Dungra campus. I invite on stage the Vice Chancellor of UMass Lowell, Dr. John Feudo, along with President of Plastindia International University, Shri M.P. Tapriya, to witness the brief signing ceremony of the MOU between these two academic institutions. Gentlemen. Joining us, a few more dignitaries on the stage. May we all have the MOU. Thank you, gentlemen. We wish this new Sustainability Center all the very best. All right, we are starting with our first panel of the day. As industries reimagine growth, the shift towards circular economy is no longer optional, it is imperative. And the next session is on this theme, reimagining circularity, how end-user industries are closing the loop. And we will explore how end-user industries are closing this loop using sustainable material, recycling innovations, and responsible waste management. I do have 3 guests. One of them is arriving. But joining me on stage for this conversation, I have my panel, Gunjan Shah. I will announce the name. Gunjan Shah, Managing Director and CEO, Bata. Ms. Lynn Rosalind, Managing Director, IKEA South Asia Supply. Mr. Jayant Kumar, Managing Director, Hinti. Please have a seat. All right, Gunjan shall join us very quickly. For most of you who have been here will realize this place is like a maze. So getting here takes a little while. Mr. Miswani will also vouch for that. But we have Q&A, and I will open the floor also after our first round of discussion. But let me start. In the meanwhile, Gunjan will also join us from Bata. Circularity today is no longer about intent or targets, and end-user industries are sitting at the point of real leverage, deciding what materials enter the system, how long the products stay in use, what finally becomes of the waste. So all of you are sitting at a very, very important place. If I were to start with the story of IKEA, well, globally, nearly 80% of environmental impact is said to be decided at the design stage. How does designing for reuse and recycling in mind make the difference for IKEA? Because now I do know everything is about how to plan it well, how to have the future of the product in your mind while you're doing that. And even the end user sort of understands the circularity of it.
Thank you for the question. And as you're saying, I mean, going into a circular business, it really changes the fundamentals of how we do business. So it's no longer something that you can redesign for during the journey of the business. It has to start with the design. So we start with how we are designing products with a purpose, with smart use of materials, with making sure that we're using recycled or renewable materials, right, so that they can also be reused. And of course, the great thing with this is that being a good business also creates good business.
Right.
So taking out that waste or thinking through from a circular point of view already in the design stage also gives affordable products in the end, helping our consumers.
In India, IKEA has the presence now. We do see one IKEA product in every Indian household at some point or the other. It's also about the aesthetics of it, the cost of it, and the recyclability of it. How does that come together? Because a lot of organizations, a lot of companies in this industry face that. Either you can be nice looking, you can be cost effective, or you can have the piece tell a story that this is how I was made and this is how I need to go. How easy or difficult is it? You are a large organization, and people look up to industry stalwarts for setting example. How easy or difficult is it to go through this process?
I think it's always difficult because it means that you need to interact and you need to include your consumers into your ecosystem on how you're doing business. But what we can see that we are doing here in India is that by involving our consumers into understanding how waste management can happen in your home, to communicate about how one plastic might be more healthy for you in your home, or how we are treating safety for children in our business. That includes the consumers, and it creates also a connection to the brand, being involved in that process. Then, of course, function is important, but beauty is also important, because you won't have those nice things in your home.
A lot of times the question becomes about whether it is disruptive or is it going to be a disturbance. And at that point in time, even changing the mindset of people who are working on the floor and people who are designing is something. You know, there are legacy systems in place, and then you have the newer chatter around how the product needs to be designed. How is that balance maintained in a big conglomerate like yours?
Yeah, we never sacrifice on any of them. So what we have is a design concept called democratic design, which is about quality, price, sustainability, form, and function. And we never sales start a product that doesn't fulfill all 5 of them. So it might mean that sometimes if we are feeling that we don't reach our goals on sustainability, or we do not reach the goals on a form, being beautiful or fit for the purpose, we will not speed up the time to market. We make sure that we can balance all of those. And by constantly doing that on all of the range,
then it becomes
you also
practice.
learn how to do it. So it becomes an integrated part of the business, which I think is important on circularity. It cannot be something that you have on the side. It needs to be integrated in the goals of the business.
I will come back to you. And taking the thread forward, Jayant, circularity without measurement rarely scales. And when we are talking about scalability, everything becomes about the numbers. And everything becomes also about the proof, because it is very easy to say what is my ROI, or what is my ROTI, as they say, in sustainability, in doing the measurement, in all the reportage that is going. But how can data and digital tools move companies from intent to actually measurable circular outcomes?
Yeah, I think I believe that today intent is not a problem. I think the real problem today goes on the execution and discipline. Most of the companies that you see, they have very good, ambitious goal. Without data, it becomes very directional in nature, not operational. At an industry level, I can tell you that digitization can help in 3 ways, and exactly in our company also we found same benefits. I think the first one is it increases the life cycle visibility. And what I mean by this is circular economy is all about understanding how our products are designed, used, maintained, and retired over the lifetime. And if you have a digital data, what you get is a knowledge of utilization, which can help you to reveal over-specification sometimes, underuse sometimes, and these are the big hidden waste in any company, and this is where the first benefit of data comes. Second benefit that we also see is it can shift the impact upstream. And what I mean by this is the biggest and the most critical sustainability decisions are actually taken at the design and the procurement stages. And imagine if you have these digital ecosystems like BIM, life cycle data, embodied carbon data. I mean, all these things can help our project teams much early, even before the site is active, to choose a solution that can be reusable, that can be repairable, and that can impact waste in a very positive way in a big scale. And third is exactly as you said, that it just makes circularity more manageable, more scalable, because then you have data that can track all the KPIs like utilization, service life extensions, recovery rates, and all these things simply turn circularity from a one-off initiative to a management system that can be managed, that can be improved, that can be scaled across all the projects.
You know, they say trackability and transparency are two big pillars. If you're able to track material use and if you're able to track the wastage, and then if you're able to transparently talk about it and decide, what are the challenges that come in both for most industries, and especially when we're talking about transparency and the reportage bit?
I mean, challenges are that, first of all, for traceability, first of all, you need to have a digital tools and systems. You know, I can tell you, in our company, we have a solution that is an asset management on-track systems. And unless until you don't have a digital tools and smart systems that can help you to track it, I mean, you don't even have data to do anything. So I think the first thing any company has to do is to find out a company and employ those systems. And once you have it, then you can always scale it up.
Some of the challenges that most industries are facing today, would you like to talk about that and how these digital tools can actually make a difference even at a starting level? Of course, when we're talking about scale, it becomes completely different. But some of the tools that are coming in handy to counter the biggest challenges.
No, nothing. I mean, I can just give you a very nice example of one of the tools that we provide, that is asset management. If you employ this tool, there are three things that will happen. The first one is you will be able to find out data that can help you prevent loss. That is the first thing that can happen. Second is you will be able to make decisions that will help you to avoid all kind of premature purchases, repurchases that can happen at the job sites. And third is there's a lot of duplication that happens at the job sites. And unless you don't have these tools in hand, you will never be able to identify this. And these are the biggest hidden cost at any job sites that you will never be able to find out.
Fair enough. Lynn, if we were to talk about plastic, it still plays a functional role in furniture and packing. How is IKEA thinking or rethinking plastics without compromising on performance and affordability?
Yeah, I mean, in 2024, we had 5% of our product range was plastic. And we realized that that was standing for 12% of our carbon footprint, which is quite significant.
Yeah.
So what we have done the last 10 years is to design products in a way so that we are using less plastic in products, that we are phasing out plastic bags for fittings and doing those in paper instead. And then that we focus on innovation agenda so that we are using the right plastic for the right purpose.
Yes.
Because by that we can reduce waste, and by that we can also make sure that it's more durable. So I think that the data is providing us the clues on what to do, but then it's about daring to take those decisions that are going to be long-term and that are going to be a little bit painful short-term, because they require investments in innovation, investments in letting go of some of your old truth on how to do the business. But long run, it's the only direction.
Jan, construction industry, if we were to talk about it, contributes to about 30 to 35% of global waste. We look at precision design, we look at prefabrication as something that can cut waste, site waste by 15 to 20%. At the site level, what actually reduces material waste, if we were to talk about intent and guidelines, how is that possible?
I think there's a clear hierarchy that we can follow. As you exactly said, I think the first one is definitely you have to design the product for a longer life.
Right.
If you have a product life that is extended, I mean that significantly reduce the waste and the carbon emission. Second, I think after that, the important hierarchy that we can follow and that we follow in our company is reduce first. And we offer a service which is highly differentiated, through which we allow various companies to buy tools from us, and that is called Healthy Fleet Management. And through this service, we actively engage with our customers to reduce the material consumption at the job sites by optimizing their tool park. And then after this, it comes as a reuse at scale.
Right.
So once the tools are returned to us, it is first inspected, and then it is either refurbished using the spare parts, reused spare parts, or then it is donated for a non-intensive use by humanitarian or educational institutions. And then comes the recycle. And then you have to recycle that very responsibly. So if any material that cannot be used, then it is dismantled and recycled through our audited partners. And I can just give you some examples, like last year itself, around 2 lakh spare parts were reused by us, saving around 90 tons of electronic and mechanical components.
Interesting.
So if you follow a clear hierarchy, you can reduce the CO2 footprints in a big way, and this also means a huge impact on the waste management.
Chent, what about training versus behavior change? How does that come about?
Training versus behavior change. I think one of the things that I can highlight is, there are different stakeholders across the ecosystem that has to come together to create a meaningful impact about the CO2 reductions and the waste management. And we can talk about the end users and the manufacturers as one stakeholder group. Second, we can talk about industry and the policymakers. But one of the important group and the stakeholders are also people and society. And there I think it is a lot about upholding a strong ethics and community engagement, doing a lot of investments on safety, skill building, and long-term employability. And if these are the things that can happen on their own or through company engagement, you will see a very positive impact. And one of the example that I can give you, and the reason I give you is also for us, sustainability goes beyond environment. It also rests on the pillar of people and society. One of the corporate volunteering programs that we run in our company is Engaged Beyond Business. And through that, we allow our people to engage and create a positive impact in the society and the people's lives. And last year alone, I think, if I'm right, around 74,000 paid hours were used by employees to do a corporate volunteering work. And this just reinforces that sustainability ultimately is driven by our people. And that is where the real impact comes.
The end user involvement partnership is so important. Even in educating your consumer that why has this product been designed a certain way, why it doesn't perhaps look like the product that you were using before, what are the nitty-gritties that are involved in, the storytelling becomes extremely important, because unless you tell people what are the nitty-gritties involved in the process, nobody sort of understands the amount of effort that has gone in creating or designing that product in the right way. Lynn, but circular design works well in pilots is what we have seen in India, where we are looking at, and also other geographies, wherein when you're talking about it on paper, it is sounding doable, but when you are scaling it, and especially if you're scaling a span geographies, it becomes even more complicated. How does a company like yours, with presence in multiple geographies, bring this ethos together? And what are some of the things that other industry leaders can take away from talking about circular economy and sustainability when their product, when their supply chain, when their waste management is in different geographies with their own political setup, with their own people, with their own policy, and with their own mechanisms of working?
It's a very big question, but I think that the beauty with this is that if we can stay positive, it also opens up so many opportunities. Because like you say, it is complex and complicated, but if we would think about it as a bigger ecosystem, it is opening up for new business opportunities. It's opening up for new collaborations. And I think what we have learned is that if we set high ambitions and dream big, and don't think within what can we solve within IKEA, there is so many out there that would like to partner and build that ecosystem and find those solutions and solve those problems. So it's also a transformation going from that I'm in control and I know how we are going to do this, towards instead having this is the direction and this is why we aim for it. Who wants to be part of that journey? So I think it's a shift as a business as well, to let go of control, to become clearer on what are our strengths and who do we need to partner up with, and then be open for that. There might be others that are better in solving some parts of the problem or the puzzle. So therefore I think this long-term partnership is helping us, because many of our manufacturers in India, they are the ones now together with us that are finding solutions, that are working with the informal sectors, that are opening up opportunities to have waste management systems. And we are not the best to solve that for India, but we are a very good contributor to put it into a global ecosystem.
I'm told our guest is arriving any moment now, so I'll take one more question with Jayan. Jayan, sites are chaotic environment, especially if you're talking about construction sites. There is construction happening all around where I live, and I see where the waste is going or what is happening with it. And sometimes I wonder, with so much construction waste that is being generated, and the workers that I see sometimes are not as educated or aware. How important or easy is it to have digital tools available at places, or teams that are available that are guiding people? Because at the ground level, what are some of the challenges that people come across, and how can digitization or some of the tools that we are talking about make actual difference?
See, I can, I gave you example of how digitization can help, and I exactly explained you how in 3 ways it can help. But if you talk about this whole topic of waste management at the job sites, and you know how construction sites are chaotic, I believe that the meaningful waste management and waste reduction can only happen if we shift our focus from reactive cleanups at the job sites, trying to find out some solutions, to proactive controls. And when I say proactive controls, I mean 4 things. First one is very high precision in planning and leveraging the digital estimations. I mean, if you have an accurate planning that is done, this can avoid over-ordering, wrong ordering in a very big way. Second control can also be that how can you bring the life cycle orientation in the entire procurement process. I mean, we have to allow our project teams, our procurement teams, to somehow compare options and find out the solutions, deploy solutions that are repairable, reusable, backed by buyback programs, and that can really help remove and reduce waste in a very big way. Third thing can also be exactly, I said that, how can we bring focus on the asset visibility at the job sites, because it can prevent you loss. Fourth is also, which looks very simple, which is this on-site segregation and discipline. It's very simple. It says that it's so simple. Is this even an action? But you go to a job site, can we segregate? Do we have a very disciplined process through which plastics, metals, packaged materials are simply segregated so that it can be recycled later? But you will not find these practices. And last, I can also tell you that our experience says that that a meaningful waste reduction, impactful waste reduction can only happen if the suppliers, the solution providers, and the end users jointly own the outcomes, rather than putting this solely the responsibility of a contractors at the job site that, hey, this is your job. And if that is the mindset, this will never happen.
No, that's so true. In fact, we were working on a story with a company that was using construction waste to make bricks. And it was all happening at the site, the segregation and the movement. So it is, the possibilities are huge. It's just that there has to be a lot of end user education that also needs to happen about the simplicity in which it can be done both at the design stage and at the supplier stage, because in India, as you see, a lot of it is contractual, so that poses a challenge. But I'm hoping that with digitization and more tools available and young leaders who are going to be coming out of the university, we will have better outcomes. Gunjan, welcome. Gunjan Shah here from Bata India Limited. Those of you who are aware of Bata, I think everyone is aware of Bata, so I don't need to really get into the legacy of the footwear business. But footwear uses, mixed bonded materials, where the recycling rates are very low. And in India, you would imagine the price, the comfort, the durability outranks sustainability most of the times. How does Bata then balance sustainability with affordability, comfort, and durability, and this particular Indian consumer set, which demands a lot more?
Yeah. No, thank you so much, and sorry to the audience and to the panel. I got a little delayed. There was some confusion traffic outside, but anyways, great to be here. Thank you. And I'll try and jump in without any preface of what the lady and gentleman have already said, and most probably overlapping in some areas. So I'll try and phase it in this manner, right? What we are trying to do in Bata, and most probably trying to encourage it in the footwear industry, because we are the largest, player that is there in the market, right? See, basically, we look at it on three levels, right? One is first and foremost to the full life cycle circularity, if you look at it, right? The biggest thing that's there is that how can you make your products more durable, because that itself reduces the amount of plastic usage. Yeah, so working towards making sure that the full life cycle that is looked at, how can you make products far more enduring and not just durable, right? Both in terms of design as well as quality and comfort is the single largest thing, I would say, right? And we work pretty assiduously towards that. The second piece is a large part is also, I would say, in terms of wastage and leakage control, right? There are two parts of it, right? There is the upstream wastage, which is during the manufacturing process, while processing at multiple stages, right up till the finished product. And the second one, that's downstream wastages, right? Which is to do with obsolescence, products not sold and getting discarded, etc. Right? Now, both of them are very critical, right? And they can have a significant amount of impact to the extent that, if we have reduced obsolescence by almost half, it's like 5% wastage is reduced from a Bata footprint perspective, which is like almost 50 million pairs a year, right? So it's a very large quantum and therefore has a big impact in terms of sustainability. The last piece is in terms of, what goes into these products, right? And I'm sure, my co-panelists have already spoken about it. But just to give you an example of what we are trying to do on this, while it's not an easy task, especially considering footwear, which is a complex product, got multiple components going in, any simple footwear product has also got almost like 100 components going in, right? So getting it recycled is not easy, but what you can do is the biggest part, which is, I would say, the opportunity from sustainability is degrading the synthetic part of the product, right? There is a plastic part that goes into the product in various forms, right? Whether it's PVC, whether it's EVA, etc. What we are trying to work upon, and I think we are on the verge of launching also, is basically a compound additive that we are putting into it in our fastest growing brand, which is called Floats, right? It's a completely synthetic product, right? Which significantly reduces the or enhances the biodegradability of the plastic itself, right? So you put that additive in, and something that was taking, let's say, for example, 150 years to degrade will suddenly reduce to only 25 years, right? And therefore, even in landfills, it gets degraded much faster. So I think it's a holistic piece, starts with life cycle, starts with reducing wastage itself, and then obviously what you can do in the compound. All of it, obviously, we do at scale, so it's the onus lies on us also in a way.
Yeah. I just wanted to also bring your attention to sometimes the industries that are perhaps not able to practice perfect circularity. What practical steps can then those brands take today to address the end-of-life waste? And if recycling isn't always possible, what second best solutions are being explored today?
You asking me?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And now all the questions are for you.
How do you say? The pleasure of being late. Sorry. So there are two ways, right? One is that consumers per se, right? I firmly believe are not ready to pay money for sustainability.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
They are wanting a frictionless experience. Give sustainability as part and parcel of your value chain of delivery of value proposition to consumers, whatever product that you are in. Right? Yes, there might be a small sliver of consumers right at the top of the pyramid who might say that, oh, it's great to have, you know, I'm wearing or using something that is sustainable, but they won't want to pay extra for it, right? Actually, that's the belief I carry. And therefore, what can you do in your value chain to try and make sure that you are able to do it? And sometimes it works, you know, how do you say, doubly beneficial. So just to give you the example that I talked about, the additive, right? It actually also helps me reduce cost of the compound. Right. And therefore, there is no reason why I need to charge the consumer for it. I can make it a great proposition to the consumer that this product is going to be far more easier to, you know, whatever is more eco-friendly, etc. But the fact is that I don't need to charge from the consumer. Right. And I think that's very important. In fact, anyone who's trying to do it, right, even if it initially sometimes these are cost plus kind of initiatives, but it's important to not pass it on to consumers so that adoption goes up. We know in most technologies, adoption goes up and the costs keep coming down. There is innovation that keeps happening and therefore you make it more efficient. So that's one big piece. The second one that's there is also, there is a whole ecosystem that is running behind these products getting manufactured, right? So there are hundreds of thousands of people working on it. There is power getting utilized. There is materials and fuel getting utilized in various forms, etc. And how can you make that ecosystem also more eco-friendly is another way of trying to basically make sure that your footprint actually is more sustainable. And using biodegradable fuels, right? Ability to basically use, let's say, electric or CNG vehicles even in your transportation, because that's a large part of this whole system, right? Moving 50 million pairs, right, from raw materials to the shops, right, is a large freight footprint. True. And if you're able to use that in a more ecologically sustainable way is another way that we look at it.
This is one question I want to put to both Lynn and to you, which is beyond recycling. When we talk beyond recycling, you may take this first. Is extending product life sometimes more impactful than recycling? Or is that different for different product line?
I think it is different than different product lines. And the reason why we are trying to transform the whole business is because it's not the same teams that work with extending product life necessarily as the ones that are designing individual products. So one doesn't have to take away focus from the other one if you integrate it. So as you were mentioning, if we are having data on where do we have our biggest opportunities, everyone can know in the company on what they can do in their area. Right. So yes, extending life is important because choice of material could sometimes extend life as well. But it could also be that how the product is sold, how it's going to be used, or how it's even sold in that market that impacts the life of the product.
Yeah, because to Gunjan, I'll say, I don't want a shoe that's going to last me a lifetime. I do want shoes that break. I do want shoes that are fashionable. And other than my walking shoes, perhaps, that I'm most comfortable with, by the way, I'm wearing a Bata, I would not want long-lasting product there.
No, you're right, absolutely. It's actually pretty right, and therefore then I think it's a combination of, how do you say, thrust areas that make a difference, right? And just like you mentioned, by the way, you just won a fan, right? Thank you for being a customer, but just like you mentioned right now, there are certain use cases where you don't want long-lasting products, right? And shoes in this case, right? But there are certain others where you are actually, there are consumers you won't believe who come back for the same product because they love the fit and the comfort that they brought it, right? And especially, let's say, if you're doing something that is making you're an air hostess, right? You're standing for 8 hours a day, or you are in a restaurant, right? Serving customers, etc. So you need that kind of comfort there. So there are different use cases and you will need to solve it differently, right? So I'm sure the one that is your walking shoe that you would love to, make sure you've got the best comfort, right? And helps you maintain your, your health, right? You would want to make sure it lasts long enough, right? And how do you make sure that that happens is also a part of the initiative of reducing footprint.
Yeah, no, because I totally agree with that, because while the middle segment, the middle-age segment can actually experiment with what you're wearing, the two segments that will remain devoted are the young kids who are wearing those shoes every single day, but their foot size is increasing. So you really cannot have that product last. It has to be recycled in some way. Like in an Indian tradition, it goes from one family to another family, because I have a 16-year-old whose foot size increases every 6-7 months. So,
But that's very interesting, actually. I didn't talk about it because we've still not been able to commercialize it, but there is an active project that is running, I would say reasonably advanced, which is trying to actually tackle this piece, right? Oh. And not only from a sustainability point of view, but also from a parent's point of view of the challenge of not only the cost, but also the time taken every 6 months, 1 year, for a fast-growing child to go and change the footwear, etc. Therefore, can you have something that is flexible enough to stretch across, let's say, maybe let's say about 2.5 years, right? Correct. More than that is impractical. But there is an active project working on it. So now I've got one more reason, is sustainability.
Fantastic. All right. We do have 3 minutes. Do we want to open it for Q&A? Do we have questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap with one question to all the panelists. Anybody? All right. While people are deciding, maybe putting their thoughts together, I just wanted to ask, in the next 5 years, looking ahead, if the three of you have to think about that one decision an organization must take right away for circularity to truly work in their organization, pan-industry, what would you think that should be? Gunjan, because you came late, I'm going to put you at the spot first.
Okay.
Although Jayant was ready. Jayant, do you want to take it first?
Yeah. See, I think it's an interesting question, and I would not prefer to answer this by saying that this is one decision you need to take. And I would reinforce, because as Gunjan just said, that sometimes it is not okay to have a product that will last for 20 years. What do you do in that case? So I think every company needs to decide a mix of actions.
Right.
I think that is the decision point.
And the life cycle, as you said before.
Yeah, and mix of actions is design for a longer life, reduce first. Sometimes you will have to reuse at scale, and then you have to recycle, and then you have to find out what will work. There will be situations where you say that, hey, I need to design for love. But if you don't, then what do? Are you working something on reusing that in the company with the raw materials? What do you do that? So I think the decision for any company is to think that circularity is not a restraint or a constraint for the growth. I mean, this circularity can be enabled a big way through design, through services, through digitization. And if you are able to use all these things, it will not be a constraint on the growth. It will be a very big enabler to build a future-ready and resilient companies and infrastructure if you have a good mix of these actions. Yeah.
Right, and also as in our keynote also came about, when departments work in silos, it's very difficult to talk the same story. And when you're talking about can other parts of the company be a participant in the recycling or reusing bit, those silos have to be broken. Lynn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean...
Your last statement.
It's a little bit on the same lines, but I think that first there needs to be a set of prerequisites in place, which is data and an organization that is ready to drive it across, and not as a sustainability department. But then I think that it's about identifying the long-term vision. Look a little bit further ahead than you normally do, and identify who is the partners that we already work with, and who is the partners we potentially are missing. And you don't need to know who the new ones are, but you need to identify in what areas.
Yeah.
Because it will require new collaboration and it will require a more regional approach.
Right.
Like you were onto, that you cannot be as global with shifting materials on a global market. You have to be more regional relevant. And that requires a new setup from a supply chain point of view.
Yeah, because a lot of times we do see that scope 1, scope 2 is easy to do. Scope 3 is where the challenge is. Gunjan, I'm going to have you have the last word, also from the point of view that tomorrow, what if the frameworks are more stringent, then you will have to follow what the policies and the rules and the regulations and the law is asking you to do. So before that happens, what are some of the things that the companies can do? Because danda chalega to phir to kaam karna padega.
No, and it's not tomorrow, right? Regulations are already coming in, right? Companies are right now being forced to at least declare. Disclosure norms are coming in very strongly, right? Depending on size as well as your exposure. So we have to put out an annual report, right, which says our carbon footprint, our plastic or whatever footprint that's there, and therefore on the overall overarching sustainability being one part of it is a very large piece, and I think it's only going to get more and more stringent, right? We are also sensing that consumers will start demanding for it at some point in time, right? Stakeholders are. At some point in time, people buying your products also will be, right? So it's better to be ahead of the curve. From a 5-year horizon, see, technologies and ideas will keep prompting up. So I wouldn't bet on any one of them right now. There's something that I just talked about right now, but who knows what's there 2 years down the line. But I think what will help all organizations, including mine, right, is on 2 fronts. One is, I think, making sure that every part of the organization is thinking of it like a full ecosystem and not just the person who's making the product, right? So even if I am a staffer sitting in the office switching on the AC, am I thinking sustainability in the way I think? And how do you imbibe that into the culture and therefore, organization's total footprint on ecology? The second piece I would say is, I think it's more like a North Star, is that don't hope for the consumer to pay you for sustainability, right? That is a big disabler. Consumers don't want to pay, right? If you want to make your product, sustainable product, a success, you will have to make sure that the consumer doesn't feel the pinch of it. It's frictionless. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to all my panelists. And do we have a question? Do we have a question? All right. Okay, thank you so much. We can have a quick photo op and then we will move to the second theme of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that we shift our focus to the second thematic session of the day, which is on the theme Powering Vikasit Bharat, the plastics industry's growth agenda. And the session aims to examine how the plastics industry can drive manufacturing-led growth, strengthen global competitiveness, and support India's journey towards becoming an $8 trillion economy. And to moderate this discussion, may I please invite on stage Professor Deepak Jain, Vice Chancellor, Geo University. And I would also like to call upon the stage his distinguished panelists. Please put your hands together for Sumit Basu, Chief General Manager, Indian Oil Corporation. Mr. Pankaj Poddar, CEO, Cosmo First. Sir, would you like to come? Aap aa jaiye. All right. Mr. Rajkumar Lohia, Chairman and Managing Director, Lohia Corp, and Shri Anil Jain, Managing Director of Jain Irrigation Systems.
Good morning. Come on, you all can do better than this. Good morning. Thank you, thank you. I was just thinking about the morning session, and some thoughts came to my mind that I thought I will share with you before we start the discussion with the panelists. I was reflecting on my journey. A person born in Tejpur, Assam, studied at Hindi Rashtra Bhasha Vidyalaya, studied English in 7th grade, or 7th grade mein there was a course called Hindi to English translation. And the teacher wrote on the board, "Ek raja tha." इसकी इंग्लिश में ट्रांसलेट करिए. मुझे तो आती नहीं थी इंग्लिश. I wrote, "A king was." The teacher slapped me and said, "This is wrong." I said, "What's the right translation?" He said, "There was a king." I asked, "Where did the there come from?" He slapped me second time. This is where it came from. वो लड़का जिसको कि हिंदी से इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन नहीं आती थी, in the 7th grade, one day becomes the dean of the top business school in US. And I attribute this to our educational system, the commitment of teachers. And I tell you, that was my journey in the US. 1968-69, I requested my father to give us permission to go and see a movie. A very famous movie at that time was An Evening in Paris. Shami Kapoor and Sharmila Tagore double role, very famous, and one of the first movies to have foreign sceneries. I never thought a day would come when for me, An Evening in Paris would be every evening in Paris when I was the Dean of INSEAD. देखिए जो हुआ. And my final thought is, a person, an Indian born American citizen, was appointed as the European president for the top business school in China, China Europe International Business School. So, Indian born American citizen, European president for the top business school in China. And if you look at these 4 economies, it contributes to 62% of the global GDP. So I feel very privileged today, being an Indian, to be in the midst of distinguished panel members. But before we start the discussion, it was December of 2024. I was the European president in Shanghai, and I got a call from the head of Shanghai Municipal Corporation saying, "Dean Jain, the Indian stock market post-COVID from 2022 to 2024 has doubled in size." I think there was a big thing. What can China learn from India? That was his question. And he said, "I give you 48 hours. I would like you to write an article on this." That was the mandate. So I tell you what, I submitted the article to the office in Beijing, and I wrote in that article that India is a safe economy, SAFE. S stands for stable economic infrastructure. Remember this morning the minister also said, in spite of all the chaos in the world, India still is far more stable than any other country in the world. So that is S. A for aspiring middle class. We have a middle class which is not only well educated, but with very high aspirations. And you just saw the session before with the chairman of BATA and others and so on, that we have a very, I would say, long runway ahead of us to make an impact. F stands for favorable demographics, divinity, and destiny. We Indians are God-fearing. In Christian religion, they say heaven and hell. हमारे यहाँ dharma and karma. because we believe that what you do, you will get the same results, positive, negative, both in this life. So a favorable confluence of demographics, divinity, and destiny. And the fourth E stands for educational excellence. I honestly tell you, our differentiation in the world would come from Ma Saraswati than Ma Lakshmi. Saraswati can get you Lakshmi, but the other journey is more difficult. So we are blessed to have very distinguished panel members here. Before this thing, I just thought I will put certain things on the board so that the discussion becomes more lively with that. Can you put the first transparency? Is it possible to put? Yes. The next one. I just prepared 2, 3, so to motivate. So if you look, you can't see, but I will tell you what it is. If you look at the world today, I describe these are the 4, there may be many, but 4 major issues that are facing. First, we are in a very competitive world, and I use the word hyper competition, where competition need not come from your own industry. Competition can also come from the other industry, because what competition means is how can the consumer get this work done? That's what it is. For we education people, universities, there are other ways of getting education. The second is customers are becoming very smart. So never underestimate anyone's knowledge. My mother never went to school, but she taught me one sentence I have never forgotten. उसने कहा, बेटा, हर इंसान 2 रोटी खाता है, कोई सूखी और कोई चुपड़ी भी. Never underestimates anyone's intelligence or knowledge, because that's a weakness, not a strength. The third is the influence of AI and machine learning that is going to define the new industry. And the fourth is what I really believe is this concept of aging demographics. Today in the world, there are more people 60 plus than 5 minus in the world. More people who are 60 plus or more older than 5 minus. And I have just completed writing a book called The Silver Economy, the New Diamond. Because with these people, there are lots of very good opportunities that we can focus on, people who are 60 plus in education, in other words. So if you look at the reputation of the corporation, that is driven by 3 factors. One I say is growth, other is innovation, and third is leadership. We have the leaders with us. This session is going to focus on the 2 words, growth and innovation. That's what we would like to see, how this whole Plastindia CEO Conclave can help us rethink about what growth means in this industry, and also what kind of innovations we can bring to the world that helps build brand India. So this is the context I just wanted to share, that 3 drivers are growth, innovation, and leadership. We heard from the first speaker this morning that under the Honorable Prime Minister Modi Sahab, we are thinking of Vikasit Bharat. The deadline is 2047, 100 years. To me, 100 years is just a goal. We need to work, just like the conference today, try to achieve that even before we meet the deadline. So with that in mind, I would like to make this a more interactive session, and I prepared some questions, and I would like to start with that thing, and I will start with Mr. Basu first, if that is okay. If you look in the journey of the Vikasit Bharat by 2047, what role the plastic industry can play beyond manufacturing? especially in healthcare, infrastructure, renewable energy, mobility, and others. What can you share with the audience?
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Jain. See, I always quote one line that life begins with plastics. If you see a baby who is just touching the earth, everything which he comes across, they are all plastics. They are all non-wovens which are being worn by the doctors, by the nurses, the gloves, the injection syringes. All around he's seeing plastics from his birth. And that is the reason why plastics has had a phenomenal growth, not only in India, but all across the world. And from merely less than 1 kg per capita of consumption in India in 80s, today we are more than 17 kgs per kg capita, plus the recycled polymers which are there in the system, which we really don't have exact data. So which is also per capita, if you take another maybe 1 or 1.5 kgs per capita also is there. So these are all going at par or higher than the growth of GDP in our country. But as you specifically asked, today plastics consumption will increase multifold from here. Today we are roughly about 24 million tons or 25 million tons this year. And by 2030 it is expected to be another 8 million tons more, which is going to be about 32 million tons. So this growth will predominantly come from lot of initiatives which the government of India has taken in terms of infrastructure, in terms of electric mobility, in terms of clean energy, in terms of health and hygiene. For example, PNGRB has given a mandate to us that by 2030 India's energy mix should have 15% of natural gas from today, which is about 5 to 6%. So that calls for a huge network of CGD pipelines covering almost 307 geographical areas, which will be available to 98% of the population. So you need a large quantity of orange and yellow pipe for the city gas distribution. Then this Jal Jeevan mission, which will connect each and every village, each and every town, 86 lakh kilometers of HDP pipe predominantly will be used, or they are rather used, and they are laid all across length and breadth of the country. Then coming to the electric mobility, you know, the battery systems, the charging systems, even the cars, they are made lighter and lighter with plastic composites, be it glass-filled nylon or be it polypropylene. So there huge amount of plastics are going to be required. Geosynthetics, geogrades, I feel is another very important application which is catching up in India, be it on the railway track, be it on the national highways. All the national highways which are made in India in last 15 years, lot of geogrades and geosynthetics are used, and they are going to be of huge demand in the coming years. So these, and of course our health and hygiene and clean energy in terms of say hydrogen, green hydrogen is another important area where a lot of plastics is going to be used, not only for the pipelines for the electrolyzers, but also of transportation of hydrogen, which will be a mix in the CNG network itself. So if you calculate all these things, plus urbanization is happening in India. Today yes, we are around 35% of population are in the urban areas, which will go to about 50% by 2040. So this kind of urbanization of population will call for a lot of plastics for Swachh Bharat and making smart cities.
Thank you.
So these are some of the new areas which will open up apart from the traditional packaging and traditional other uses what all of us know.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to add? Jain Saab?
Sir, you talked about Vikasit Bharat.
Yes.
Honorable Prime Minister has said by 2047. In my heart of heart, I believe it is not going to be possible unless we also take along with us 50% of the rural population, which is about more than 500 million people. As you know, India has about 120 million farmers. So 4 or 5 people per household, that's about 500 to 600 million people out there. I believe plastics are going to play a very important role with the kind of products and technologies which we have pioneered, where each farmer's income needs to go up to that point. Nikhil Bhai, while in his speech, said that by 2030, $4,000 per capita income. $4,000 is about 3.5 lakh rupees, per person. The way we are focusing is that what technology we provide to farmers using plastics, including drip irrigation, greenhouses, other solutions, piping, is that he can make 3.5 lakh rupees net profit per 1 or 2 acres per year. And that is equal to what the entry guy is getting in TCS, etc. And this is definitely doable. We are finding, especially the next generation of farmers who are coming up in India, young people, men and women, boys or girls, are looking at value-added agriculture. And therefore, it requires investment, it requires plastics, it requires drip, it requires knowledge. And this is going to allow incomes to go up in rural area. It would also allow increase in exports. So just to give an example, using drip irrigation, a lot of our farmers now started growing higher quality of banana. Plus we have used biotechnology to give them right planting material. And the difference I want to bring, that 10 years ago, India was not participating in the international banana trade. And this year, India has exported 5,000 crore rupees of bananas by these farmers. Internationally, banana is a $15 billion trade. But I think in next 3 to 5 years, India would be at least $1 billion, which it didn't exist before. That kind of value creation I'm talking. But then this value creation, as an industry, what we are trying to do is that you want to create shared value. That whatever you are doing, it should create disproportionate value for your customer. Sure. So if I'm selling a farmer a plant for tissue culture at 20 rupees per plant, I hope that he makes at least 100 to 200 rupees out of that 20 rupees investment. So when you create that kind of disproportionate value is when you will be able to lift a much larger population, because they have been in this vicious cycle of debt, poverty over centuries, right? And that multi-generational poverty, you want to change to a virtuous cycle. And plastics is so extraordinary to be able to create that benefit.
No, because the new theme in the world is what they call inclusive economy or common prosperity. We need to have people, the farmers and others, grow. Otherwise, we can still have good numbers at the top with very high income inequality. So I think this is a very good point, that how 120 million farmers times 5 per family. So we are thinking of 500 to 600 million people. For that, yes, anything you want? Can I go to the second question? The second, to me, seems a sensitive one, but I will still ask. How do we reconcile India's aspiration to be a global manufacturing hub in plastics with increasing global scrutiny on plastic usage and waste? The network externality is not very positive. So how we reconcile that world thinks plastic is not good and we want to be the leader there? How can we reconcile this?
Yeah, so I will give 2 very small examples.
Yes.
Where India, there are so many opportunities in plastic, and this is one industry which India has understood really well. Just for example, tape films, right? Today, this tape industry is close to $500 million, and India is not even maybe 2% of that. Very easy product to make, and India is nowhere, and opportunity is huge. Second example is when it comes to drug delivery. 90% of drug delivery which has plastics into it is imported in the country. So one is we have huge opportunity to make it for India first, and then globally again this is a very large opportunity. So India has done good in many areas, but then there is so much available on the plate that we can do it. And plastics has been replacing a lot of materials in the past, and this trend will continue to go. The second part of your question is on the recycling, making look plastics better, so on and so forth. And see here again sharing some examples that as Cosmo we have done. Very simple things, we have metallized film, we put metal onto the film. And historically it was, going as a waste. Very simple technology where we removed metal from the waste film. And the same thing which was going as a waste today has a 60-70 rupees of commercial value, which is close to 60 cents of commercial value. Similarly, we had films made from calcium carbonate, which again had virtually very little value to it. And we said, why not make a film from that waste, make resin first and convert it. And today again it's a very good commercially sellable product. So we have to create those examples rather than, and those are happening all across us. It is just that how we can create that waste segregation infrastructure and make sure that we are able to display, and we can definitely have a first mover advantage here. A lot of countries who have done a first mover, so like even in India, the polyester value chain, India started polyester recycling many years back, and today we see a lot of Indian groups who have set up polyester recycling not just in India but all over the world. Similarly, if we can set up examples, we take the advantage of first mover, recycle some of the other things, I'm sure the opportunity will be worldwide, because it is not just India which is struggling from it, it is the whole world which is struggling, and if we can set that benchmark, that's a huge opportunity.
Thank you, very good answer. Anyone wants to add to this?
I think, in terms of absorption of technology, making good quality products, India is already there. And, for example, pipe is a difficult product to ship. You talked about the global markets because you're shipping air. But if you do the right amount of value addition using local skill set, today we are able to, good quantity we are able to ship around the world. So it's inherently difficult proposition to compete locally when you're shipping air. But just based on the skill set and the value addition you can create, I think the globe can be your market and should be your market. And it is being done, it is happening. I think I always feel that once you build your business around exacting quality and specification and standards, then rest is just matter of more value creation you need to do for customers.
Very good.
I'll just add one point here. See, for making products for exports, you need a lot of raw materials also from different technologies for specialty grades, which were not available till few years back. But with so many new plants, new technologies coming in India, there are companies who have started making metallocene LL also in India very recently. So those kind of raw material which is required for making specialty applications where you have to ensure quality if you are exporting. Of course, Minister said that today we are improving for domestic markets also. But if you have to export, you have to match the requirements. So those kind of raw materials in India have also started getting available from the local producers, and which I'm sure will boost the exports, and India will become a processing hub. Especially, we are already the largest manufacturer of two-wheeler in the world, and also we are a big manufacturer of FIBC. So wherever there is some bit of manpower which is required, we have cheap manpower, and our machines like from Lohia, Starlinger, the kind of machine which is available for making this kind of products. So India will definitely become the engine for plastics product manufacturer in the world. And also in the recycling industry also is shaping up very well. And I can see the kind of investments which has happened in the recycling industry. I mean, people are putting investments worth of 100 crores in one single unit in the recycling industry, which never happened. The recycling industry in India has always been a unorganized sector, where you had small machines and all. But that also is becoming very much organized, and a lot of investments are coming in that sector.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
So there are two elements to this export-led plastic development. one, as Mr. Basu said, FIBC is one example, or woven plastic is one example, that India became the largest in the world exporting this product, surpassing Chinese exports or Southeast Asian export or Turkish exports to Europe. In spite of the nearness, proximity to Europe, I believe that we are exporting more to Europe than Turkey, far more.
Yes.
So, India, the way economy has to develop in any field for export is we have to use our strength. And I have always believed that the main strength of India is labor, people. And the mindset of the entrepreneurs that employing a lot of people is bad has to change. Because if we cannot use labor, then we will be short of many advantages which we can harness. The second thing is that I believe that the molded products have a long way to go. So the quality of the molded products, the speed which with molded products have to be introduced has to go many-fold up. And molded products should not be seen as the export itself, but the use of molded products in many other applications should also be seen as a part of export promotion. Thank you.
Very good. Now, the reason I asked this question, last night we were having dinner and John and Ram both were there. When I became the dean of the Kellogg School, and I was welcoming aspirational students who had admissions from Harvard, Stanford, and others, they come for a campus visit before they decide where to go. So I was just first time an Indian become the dean of a top school, and this is February 2002. I became the dean in 2001. And I made my presentation. Then a student asked me a question. He said, Professor Jain, you made an excellent presentation about the school, but tell me what you are going to do about the Chicago weather. That day it was minus 22 degrees centigrade actual temperature. Minus 22. February ka month. This year it was minus 30, by the way. It had been very cold. Now, as a dean of the school, I can tell him that this is something beyond my control. But I have always believed that not every question deserves an answer. And at the same time, you should never ignore a question. So let me tell you what I told him. I said, Mr. X, I have one piece of advice for you. In life, you should believe in the principle of a refrigerator. Things kept in a cooler environment stay fresh for a long time. And after that, he never asked me the second question. So people can say all about this plastics and etc. But what you all have said, there are so many opportunities for us to make a difference rather than just go by public perception. Let me go to the next one. And this is more a marketing question, being a marketing professor I would have. Which segments of the plastic value chain can become India's global competitive advantage in the next 20 years or so? Who would like to start? Anyone? Because I really think that we need to think of segments where we can be the global leaders in the plastics industry. Anyone?
So I think I'll take first.
Yes.
Within plastics, right, the things you make, the sheets, the pipes,
yes,
molded items, etc. It has its own market, and I think Indian companies are already quite competitive. But I believe plastics should be taken as more of an enabler where India wants to go as a Vikasit Bharat. And within work which we do mostly focused around agriculture, I think plastics need to marry on one hand biotechnology, on other hand AI, a combination. And that would not only make the plastics globally competitive in terms of value addition, but you would help agriculture to become globally competitive. And I think, with the help of plastics, I think India can export maybe over next 15, 20 years, extra 10 or $20 billion of every agriculture food item. That is feasible. So you need not think plastic just as a plastics, but as an enabler, which other industries it can really help.
It can be a catalyst.
And for agriculture, I think it is going to be the biggest catalyst. So it has a twin benefit, right? You are creating foreign exchange earning for the country and global markets. But on the other hand, you are improving incomes of the large number of farmers. And that together is the real, I think, formula for Vikasit Bharat.
Thank you. Anyone else? Padarth?
I will say that the opportunity is huge. There cannot be just one or two segments.
Yes.
There has to be many, many segments because, as I said earlier, India understands plastic fairly well. If India continues to have polymer availability, we continue to produce more polymer first, which is very critical to be competitive. Sky is the limit. There are so many sectors which we can grow within plastics. Any example you see, there are opportunities, whether these are automobiles, these are electronic goods, almost everything has a plastic application and almost everything can be exported. Only thing is, rather than just keep focusing on raw material kind of supplies, can we become brands in it?
Exactly.
Can we create a spectacle brand? Can we create, because plastics has a lot of brands also around it. Can we create those global brands in the times to come? That would be really important to see.
Very good point.
I think the plastics industry, if it achieves the scale of what China or these kind of companies to reduce the cost and maintain the quality, of course. So sky is the limit, like what Mr. Poddar said, that anything and everything can be exported, and we are no less than anybody else.
That is true. Roya sir?
Today, I will take this question. Let's say the woven plastic today is a product which is India is a leader in the overall world as export product. But the future more would be unmolded products. Again, if one focus the same speed of development as is in Chinese areas like Taiwan or China, and same quality which is in the West or maybe in Korea or Japan, then this could be a great product. Molded plastics can be well exported. I don't have the figures, but in our family there is a company which is doing molded plastic exports, and the total turnover of export and that's automobile is ancillary, and the total export is roughly 60% of the domestic as compared to domestic market, 40-60. So it's possible, and it is in Kanpur. It has many advantages with disadvantages. The advantages are we can retain trained manpower. Retaining the trained manpower is a key thing.
Sure.
And migrant manpower cannot be retained properly. So hence the industry has to move inside, not only on coastal areas.
Thank you. Now, I think our time is up, but just for Mr. Kamal Nanavati and others, I think at your university, we should start doing more PhD thesis on how India become. The brand India should be that India provides affordable innovation in the plastics industry, and a lot of thesis should be written on that. And I tell you, that would be nowhere in the world. Now, University of Massachusetts are there. With them as a partner, we need to think about how we educate the world what India can contribute to the global plastics industry. And again, coming back, Saraswati, the goddess of learning, can help us build that competitive advantage that we have the thought leaders there. Again, please join me in thanking all the panelists. Sorry, we exceeded the time. Everyone is going before time, but we professors always are notorious for that we love to speak and sometimes it shows. But again, thank you all very much. And I want to tell you, this is the beginning of a long journey. This is not the end. Today's session should be something that we should continue to think about how this plastics industry become a part of brand India. And there is a saying that no challenge ahead of you is greater than the force behind you. And I want to tell the panelists, Deepak Jain is always behind you. Okay? Let's take this to a higher level. Thank you again.
Thank you, gentlemen. So can we just come together for a picture and then you can get off the stage. Thank you, gentlemen, for that wonderful panel and all the insights. Up next, I would now I would like to call on stage Daniel Nordigarden and Abhinav Goyal from McKinsey and Associates for one more interesting case study around successful initiatives in plastic recycling.
Okay, great. Thanks for having us. I'm Daniel Nordigarden. I'm a partner and a co-leader of the global McKinsey's paper and packaging practice based in Canada. And here with me is also my colleague, Abhinav.
Hi everyone, Abhinav Goyal. I'm a partner with McKinsey & Company based in Denver, Colorado in the US. And I was telling Dr. Jain just now, I graduated from Kellogg, so I have fond memories of seeing Dr. Jain, so I appreciate being here. You know, I co-lead McKinsey's work in plastics and McKinsey's work in plastics and packaging industry together with Daniel. So both of us are here to talk about what we are seeing in sustainable packaging. At McKinsey, we have something called Sustainable Packaging Hub, which is basically a think tank where we do research around consumers, around companies and organizations around what are the trends in sustainability. And we analyze those. We actually advise companies on sustainability as a result. So we represent that Sustainable Packaging Hub within McKinsey that supports packaging and plastic companies. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Maybe if we move to the next page, Abhinav, let's maybe just leave you with 5 key observations we want to bring forward today based on the research that Abhinav and I have been doing. We've recently done a major sustainability survey across 11 countries looking at consumer sentiments. We did a massive regulation across 70 countries around what we see happening on the regulation side for paper and plastics and other substrates. And also been talking to over 45 brand owners, CXOs, to understand what are the barriers for sustainable packaging and how can we accelerate more sustainable packaging going forward. And I think there are sort of 4 or 5 key observations we want to bring forward today. First, sustainability is really around 3 lenses. When we think around sustainability, we think around recyclability, the use of sort of minimizing leakage into the environment, and minimizing also the CO emissions. We also see an enormous wave of regulations coming into the market, right? And we also see consumers' concern accelerating around sustainability. But we also see actually a little bit decline around the importance of sustainability right now. If you go back before COVID, sustainability was a top factor for consumers. Now price, quality, and convenience are the key buying factors, giving a lot of economic uncertainty. So understanding where to win with the consumers is very important. And then, fourthly, packaging purchasers, brand owners, retailers clearly have an ambition for reaching their sustainability goals, but there are 6 barriers that right now are inhibiting, and you can really help them there. We'll go back to those 6 barriers later today. But clearly sustainability remains a top trend, and we'll speak through a couple of those key findings. Abhinav.
So we, as I was telling earlier, we do these consumer sentiment surveys and analysis every couple of years. So we did that in 2020, then 2023, and in 2025, we surveyed about 10,000 consumers around the world around what are the key buying criteria when it comes to packaging and plastics and other substrate. So here are the 5 themes that we see as what consumers care about, because at the end of the day, like what consumers care about becomes the mandate for retailers. That is what becomes the mandate for CPGs, and that is what becomes the mandate for plastics and glass and paper and metal and plastics industry in general. So we found that there are 5 big things. Packaging price continues to be a top element for consumers. In 2020, 2023, and 2025, it continues to be the top thing that they care about. Of course, quality is there, as one of the key purchasing decisions, but price leads. Sustainability, this is what Daniel was talking about just now. It used to be one of the top things that consumers cared pre-COVID. If you go around, ask consumers, they would say, I'm willing to pay a premium for sustainable alternates, and it features into one of the top buying criteria for consumers. It took a bit of a backseat during COVID, and now we are seeing it is taking slight further backseat. So the portion of market which is willing to pay a premium for sustainable alternate is a smaller portion of the market than it used to be before. And it does not mean that consumers do not care about sustainability. They do care about sustainability, but the price and competitiveness becomes more table stakes. So if you have a similar product which is sustainable alternate, and it's the table stakes in terms of pricing, yes, they will choose a sustainable alternate, but the willingness to pay premium is actually changing, and it is depending also on the geography. So we will talk about that a little bit in the subsequent slides. Recyclability remains the top sustainability factor. If you ask consumers, how do you define sustainability? Some of them may say recyclability. Some of them may say recycled content. Some of them may say that it is greenhouse gas emissions. So the way you define sustainability, and what matters most is also changing. But recyclability continues to be the top factor that consumers believe is the synonymous for sustainability. And then this is where the folks in the room also play a key role. Consumers slightly selfishly do not see themselves as accountable people to take care of sustainability. So they think that CPGs, brand owners, and the packaging and the plastics industry should be thinking about these topics more than consumers changing their own habits and behaviors. So I think that's also something that we see as the key trend amongst consumers.
And I think maybe we go to the next page because we only have 3 minutes apparently. So I think this one is key one for you here right now. I want to emphasize this one here. So this is the 11 country survey Abhinav just spoke around, right? So if you were a producer of plastics today and you're thinking, what is the key characteristics the consumer have in mind for sustainability? This is it. Recyclability and recycled content. So if you can sort of think around those 2 elements and drive sort of your product innovation as you already probably are doing, that will be a key factor going forward. And you will see it varies quite a lot, but overall, even in India, you see the same factors. Maybe I
think the willingness to pay we covered. Yeah. I think these are the 6 barriers that we are seeing, which is sort of inhibiting the adoption of sustainable alternates in packaging and plastics, is affordability, performance, lack of alignment of what is truly meant by sustainability, limited or unreliable supply, regulatory standards, even in India, of course in Europe is sort of further ahead in terms of standards around sustainability and recyclability, but the landscape is evolving. And then there is also like incomplete comprehension and understanding of the solutions which are out there. So these are the 6 factors which are somewhat playing together when it comes to growth and sustainable alternatives.
Just adding there, I think this is based on what Abhinav said earlier. Abhinav and I have been speaking to over 45 CEOs at brand owners, retailers, e-commerce retailers. So when you think around what are the barriers, these are the 6 ones, right? So it's keep in mind when you think around the customers here. I think finally then, I think for you, right, I think as we close this up today, right, I think for you it will be important to think around where to play, develop a granular understanding where are the value pools for you to be successful going forward, but also developing that kind of clear technology on the commercial side and also operational technology to drive sustainability forward, right? To set up your sort of commercial, operational, and innovation engine to go after opportunities in the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, kept it brief.
Another important case study with the primary focus on Vikasit Bharat and the vision to 2047. And I would like to call upon our speaker, Deepak Mehta Saab from Deepak Nitrite, with the focus on world-class manufacturing. Over to you. Do you want to use the post? Or
Good afternoon, friends. I feel very comfortable with the last statement. Deepak ji said that "Aap aage badho, hum aapke piche hai." So that gives us the confidence to move in this direction. So we are the new kid on the block. We have never been in the plastic world, but Deepak is a 50-year-old company which makes various chemical intermediates for pharmaceuticals, for agrochemicals, for colors, for even plastic intermediates. But over these 50 years, we have learned that innovation should be the right partner for growth. And in this innovation-led ideas, we have had situations where we have constantly partnered with companies, with customers, and together we have worked to create great innovations. In the field of colors, for example, Deepak has always been a major player in making various amines, and we would work together with customers to see how each of these amines could give them different pigments. So much so that not only we would give a range of amines which are well utilized in the world for making pigments, we have developed new amines just to give these to our customers who could make different pigments from that. Some of these pigments have yet not come on the play, but they would look at developing these for potential markets. Similarly, a situation in which we developed solvents, for example. And we would work on products and try to identify beyond the chemical use what all benefits or opportunities could that product give. Until 2018, we were into all of these industrial chemical intermediates. When we decided to set up a large phenol project, again taking wise counsel from people like Dr. Jain, who said that if you are coming up with a new plant, you should always see that whatever you bring on the table is world class, whatever you bring in the table is the latest technologies and a world size. So India used to have plants which were about 20,000-30,000 tons of phenol, but we took heed to this suggestion and we went to one of the two world's leading technology providers, Kellogg in USA and UOP also in USA, and put up a 200,000 ton plant, which was at that time the largest plant in the country. Around this time, the country was importing about 200,000 tons of phenol. And we put in a size which was just equal to that capacity. Over a period, we have found that not only have we been able to grow from 200 to over 330,000 tons in the last 5 years, but even today, the country continues to import over 100,000 tons. It only shows that when easy availability in the country is there, demand grows multifold. The use of phenol for plywoods, for laminates, has grown significantly since its easy availability in the country. When we looked at phenol for the chemical purposes and then compared with China, and we found the capacities in China are many times in India. And one of the things we found was that the single largest use of phenol that is there in the world, that product is not made in India at all. And that was polycarbonate resins, which are in China itself, the capacity is over something like 3 million tons. It's an engineering polymer. We started looking at this product, and again we found wise counsel in saying that if you are looking at this, go for the best of technologies and go for ensuring you have a world-scale capacity. We have taking advantage of what the situations are, particularly in Europe, where energy costs are high. We were able to look at a technology being practiced, which is interfacial technology, I believe one of the best technologies to make polycarbonate. And we were lucky enough to find a plant which was making these. We have acquired this plant and are now going to be shifting it to India. And again, capacity-wise, it would be making something like 160,000 tons of polycarbonate resins. We also realize that not only the best of technology and the best of quality, but we need to also ensure in today's days that you can withstand the competition, the prices that are really crashing all over the world. And one of the major options that we saw, and again learning from China, that unless you are fully integrated, you will not be able to withstand the challenges of excessive production, particularly in China. So we have actually integrated right from polycarbonate to making our own bisphenol A, to making our own phenol and acetone, and really starting from propylene, which would be made next door to us by a company called Petronet. So it is going to be one of the most integrated polycarbonate projects, starting from propylene and ending up into polycarbonate. As we speak, the project, the dismantling of the plant is taking place, and we should be in the market sometimes in 2028. In the meantime, the few things we are doing is to, on one side, setting up a compounding facility to start making several compounds and start understanding the marketplace. At the same time, we have just recently completed a research center investing over 150 crores. And here we are going to be putting in more and more research required assets, including analytics, to see what could we be doing to get more value out of the plastics and the polymers. We have a future plan when we would look at going beyond polycarbonates to also make products like polymethyl methacrylates. Both of these products are not made in India at all, while India continues to be a growing market. So Deepak Jainji, we certainly will look forward to your constant support. And for me, as I said, being the new kid on the block, I look forward to a lot of inputs, suggestions, guidance from all of you, the plastic industry, and I look forward to growing together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Thank you so much for that address. Our next speaker focuses on building world-class global family businesses. May I call upon Mr. Massimo Pavin, MD and CEO Cermax Global, for his address.
So good afternoon. We are in the afternoon, and then I am the last speaker, so I don't want to boring too much you, and then I hope to be fast. Thank you, Plastindia, and the colleagues that invited me today here. I would like to give to you this small contribute to share the experience that we have since the last 10 years with a joint venture in India. Few words about me and my family. I'm a son of an entrepreneur, but I'm an entrepreneur from first generation in the sense that my father was involved in different business, paper company and construction, and then I established this company in 1992. And then during acquisition that I did in 97, I have this 60 years old company. So initially, I work in the three most important sectors that are also important here now, EE, and automotive, and then home appliances. And my customer were the Italian-based customer, Gavis, Biticino, Vimar in the EE, or Fiat, now Stellantis in automotive, and Whirlpool, Indesit, Candy in home appliances. So soon they became global players, and then that was a boost for me to start to set the today business model that is multi-countries and multi-products. And from 2018, we add sustainability that we can have a few words later on. So multi-products, what I mean, I started with the polypropylene compound. I had also engineering plastics compound, ABS, polycarbonate, polyamide, PBT, POM. And then I moved to elastomers, thermoplastic elastomers, TPE, TPV, mechanical recycling polyolefins, and finally biopolymer compostable. I don't agree about the 7th position in Italy. They are in biocompostable because it is one of the most important countries in Europe that is using biopolymer compostable. So multi-products and multi-countries. So from Italy, I moved 20 years ago to Poland, and then to Brazil, US, and finally that ending the west part of the world, where I went by greenfield, started by scratch. I was looking for Asia, and definitely I choose that India was the most promising area where we have to set the new activity. And then I didn't have doubts in that moment that was the time to look for a partner, not go alone, not to go for greenfield from scratch. And then I was looking for somebody that was close to our, let me say, family. And then I was so lucky to meet the Thakkar family. Now the patriarcha Nirmal, birthday today is 86 years old. It is in a break. But this family that was the one of the most important, the oldest family to develop the plastic business in India. Now they are the third generation, and then are present here in this market since 80 years. So it was easy for me to find a way to cooperate with them because the two families has the same vision, the same values, the same entrepreneurial spirit, so based on trust and transparencies. So really, in the interview that I had half an hour before, I said, really, myself and my brothers feel to have not three partners, three brothers partners, but three real Indian brothers here in the country. Together, in the last 10 years, we developed the business by building the new plant in Valsad, close to the existing site, but a completely new plant in Valsad, close to Mumbai. And then we did the same in Palval, close to here, Delhi. And then now we are in progress to build the third plant, completely new from Greenfield in Hosur, in between Bangalore and Chennai. So adding to the local presence of the Indian family, the know-how, and then the international presence that we have, that was important to reach the global customers that are present in those sectors here in India. I mean EE, I mean car makers, I mean home appliances, power tool. Those customers that we are supplying in Europe, East and West Europe, in North America, in Brazil, are present also here. And on top of that, as you understand today from the previous speeches, they are growing to a lot. And then this country is moving ahead in mobility, in infrastructure, in the buildings and so on. There is a lot to do. And then I'm glad to hear that it is not only present the polyolefins industry that we know well reputed worldwide, but also some engineering plastics are coming, and then welcome for the polycarbonate industry that for sure will help us. So now what we want to export here, not only the business of PP compounded engineering polymers, but also the elastomers, the recycling. Today we have seen the beginning. It will be difficult. What you heard today is something that we were discussing 20 years ago in Italy, and then it is not the end. And then for sure nobody is paying more for the recycling products inside the prime compound or the compound, technical compound. It is a long way, but we have to start for sure. And then collection first and sorting second, and then recycling will be a must. But on top of that, we have to create education to the people, to think about what they have to do once they have a plastic in hand. There is not a ban of plastics, but we have to educate the people to use the plastics in the proper way, and to consider that the plastic has never die and then continue to live. So I wanted to underline how much important it is in our sector to be a private-owned company with a family business, because mainly we are oriented to the medium and long-term relationship. I will not allow never to my employee, to my sales manager, to have a speculative policy or to look for tomorrow morning or the short-time business. We want to establish long-term relationship. We want to be fair. We want to ensure that by DNA, a family business is made in this way. So to continue to ensure that the family business can go ahead also in the future, we are working in two layers. Family layer, we have the fourth generation of Takar family that is approaching the company, and we have the second generation of my family. So I'm proud to have two young Takar guys that are in the US, in my plant. They are working there. I had another one last year in Italy and in Poland, and then we are prepared to receive also the fourth one this year. So we are catching two targets, train them in a business model that we have in all the resins, but also establish new relationship for the next generation in order to ensure the continuity. But as all of you knows, believe me, that there is no possibility for a company to go well in the future without management. And then we are investing in really up-to-date, modern management, well-educated, young, together with the more experienced senior managers. And then what also I've found here since the beginning, if the beginning may be some let me say, assets were not updated like we have in Europe, and then now they are completely updated. But in terms of mentality, in terms of know-how, in terms of knowledge, I found a really great person, great management. So I don't want to be too much proud to say that our target is to become the first compounder in India in the next 10 years. We will work for that. And then I'm sure that we can have a chance. So in the logo that I was seeing here in the Plastindia brochure, really I trust that we can move from making India to creating India. We can move from India speed to India quality. We can move from India products to India brands. So I really trust that the self-reliant India make India for the world. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. Masibo. That was wonderful to hear. We wish you all the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we are bringing this session to the close. Thank you for all. Thank you, all of you, for taking out time and being with us today and for contributing to such engaging conversations through the day. We may now proceed for networking lunch and continue the discussions. Thank you.